Week 5, Copyright Authorisation. Sections 36 sub 1 and 101 sub 1 of the Copyright Act 1968 establish the doctrine of authorisation liability for those who authorise someone else to commit copyright infringement. The following short video will explain the definition of authorise in the context of copyright authorisation. The definition of authorise was considered by the court in the case of University of New South Wales and Morehouse. Here, it was adopted that the definition of authorise in Australia means sanction, approve, countenance. Therefore, authorise did require something more than merely providing the facilities for copyright infringement. However, the trouble with defining authorise by reference to its dictionary synonyms, as the court did in Morehouse, is that the courts did not also define the synonyms it used. This means that as it stands, the definition for authorise in copyright authorisation is somewhat vague, or to use 3 dictionary synonyms, unclear, blurred, and ambiguous. Therefore, to properly understand the definition of authorise, we will have to unpack whether all these dictionary synonyms mean the same thing. For some idea of the synonyms' meaning, the first point of call is Google. According to Google, sanction is to give official permission or approval for, approve is to officially agree to or accept as satisfactory, and countenance is to admit as acceptable or possible. If these words are given their ordinary English meaning, it is clear that the definition of authorisation is very wide indeed. In CBS Incorporated and Amy's Records and Tapes Limited, Justice Whitford observed that countenance is a word of wide meaning. It may mean sanction, encourage, support, or condone. However, Justice Whitford also says that if Parliament had intended to give copyright owners the sole right to give countenance to infringing acts, then no doubt they would have said so in plain terms. The Canadian Supreme Court has also expressly rejected the approach of the Australian High Court in Morehouse on the basis that it shifts the balance in copyright too far in favour of the owner's rights and unnecessarily interferes with the proper use of copyrighted works for the good of society as a whole. The judgments in the landmark case of Roadshow Films and iiNet have also helped to shed some light on whether these dictionary synonyms all mean the same thing. It was submitted by the appellants that by the ISP iiNet doing nothing to stop its users from infringing copyright, this countenanced infringement and thereby authorised infringement. They argued that iiNet's contractual relationship with its customers gave it an indirect power to control the use of its services and prevent infringement. That led to the submission that once iiNet had received credible information of infringements, failure to issue notices to the infringers or terminate their contracts amounted to, at the very least, the countenancing of their infringements. The judgment of Chief Justice French and Justices Crennan and Kiefel considered what countenance means. Interestingly, they noted that some of the meanings of countenance are not coextensive with authorise, and they highlighted the danger in placing reliance on one of the synonyms for authorise found in the dictionary. Justices Gummow and Hayne also discussed the meaning of authorise in their judgment. They said at paragraph 177, after a century, the selection of the term authorise to identify the activity constituting secondary infringement continues to give rise to difficulty. But the difficulties, which reflect both technological developments and changes in business methods, are unlikely to be resolved merely by recourse to a dictionary. They also warned that it would be wrong to take from this definition one element, such as countenance, and by fixing upon the broadest dictionary meaning of that word, seek to expand the core notion of authorise.